Bourbon, Broncos, and No BS. Fans, brews, and Broncos news.
Hello again, Broncos Country. Welcome to Bourbon Broncos No BS. Thank you guys for joining. Make sure you hit that subscribe like button. And thank you guys for joining us. Kev decided to let us run the show tonight. Don't know what he was thinking, but you know what? Let's make it a good show. I think we got this. We got David and Spotty here. Guys, how you doing today? Broncos 8-2. How you doing?
Oh, just enjoying another day as the fan of probably the worst 8-2 team of all time. If you listen to certain,
is that how we're going to start? I said we're going to have a good show. You come in with the negativity.
If you listen to certain talking heads, go ahead, Spotty. Talk some sense into the man.
No, David, it's just like I'm annoyed. I am like, my team is finally successful. We're basically 6 seconds away from being 10-0, and every person out there is like, are the Broncos the worst division leader in the AFC? Everything about the Broncos have done is a fluke, and I've been watching more, of course, because I'm a sadist apparently, and I was watching a couple of people, and they're like, "Do you know how hard it is to win 7 straight games in the NFL? Does winning 7 straight games is just a fluke?" And it's absolutely not. Like, you could probably count on one hand how many times a team rattles off 6 wins in a season over every year. It's probably maybe one team a whole entire year, and it's not everybody's doing it. If everybody could do it, they would.
Yep, I'm going to go on while we're talking about it. Let's just make this the soapbox of getting it off our chest of how awful the national media can be to teams. And I think the biggest one is this is the only game they've watched one game all year, and it was a game that, yes, we struggled offensively against a not great defense. I'll give them that. And they're right in that. We struggled in one game, but now they're looking back on it as like all their games are flukes. They beat Jackson Dart after he got hurt. They beat the Houston Texans after their quarterback got hurt. They did this, they did that. They forgot that we beat the Philadelphia Eagles when they were undefeated, right? And then who's the other team that we beat that was and then we're only like you said, a couple seconds away from beating Indy and the Chargers. We kept up with the top tier in the league. It came down to a last minute field goal. Like, it's not that we're bad. We had a bad game, and that's okay. It just sucks that it was on the national stage. So everybody sees that, and they're like, this team is awful. They're not awful. They just had a bad – and let's be honest, Bo had a bad game.
Bo had a bad game. His worst game, maybe of his entire career. Man, the offensive line had a bad game against the Raiders there. It wasn't just Max Crosby that seemed to be getting pressure all the time. It felt like there was just a lot of plays where they gave up quick pressures against a Raiders pass rush that outside of Max Crosby is really nothing special. It was an off night for everybody. Bo Nix had a bad night. Sean Payton, who I will defend as staunchly as anybody, had like the worst 3rd-and-1 call that I've ever seen in my life.
Yes,
like the worst call.
I'm so excited to talk to this, buddy.
Brought it up.
No, and Spotty, I'm going to throw it over to you real quick to talk a little bit more about that, just because I just want you to know I have no defense for that scenario. There's nothing you can say about that. But yeah, everybody had a bad night, and you still won 10-7. Let's just go.
I'm going to complain about it. Actually, you know what? It wasn't even just the 3rd-and-1 play and the fact that we lost yardage that then led us to a 59-yard field goal that we kicked short. It's just the fact that this preposterous of an idea to believe that a play that's a double reverse wide receiver handoff throw to somebody who freaking knows is what's going to do it. Because if that play goes bad, the worst case scenario is like a pick or lost yardage, which is the absolute worst case scenario. When for some reason, I wouldn't care if they would have ran it twice and not got it on that. I wouldn't have cared about that. It's just the way that we do things. I feel that Peyton gets ahead of himself. And yes, I get it. We have done plays this year that we're like, oh my gosh, it is a reverse or a sweep or something. And we're like, oh my gosh, it absolutely works. But we choose the worst moments to do it. Like we're going to throw to Garrett Bowles in the end zone, and we're going to throw a double reverse pass on 3rd and 1 when we had the momentum. Like it takes away from everything that the offense is trying to do. So we do not build any type of rhythm whatsoever.
Yeah, I got enough for that. But you hit it on the head for something that I was going to say is like, we could sit here and complain about, and you're right, that timing was terrible. The location of the field was bad. Right now, if we were already in field goal range, if we were on like the 30 or we were on the 25, sure, let's try it out. Let's see what happens. Worst case scenario, we get a field goal and it's an easy make. But where we were, like, just try to get it. If you're going to know you're going to kick the field goal anyway, don't lose the yards. If that's because they clearly told Cortland's a smart player, right? He's a captain for a reason. He didn't throw that for a reason. And I haven't seen the downfield of what it looked like, but it's clearly not there. So he took that as opposed to trying to throw it for, an interception, get something for us. So yes, there's that. But we have these times where we're like, Sean's going for 2 here? Like, why are we doing this? Oh, it worked. Well, cool. We won the game because of it. And you're like, I think we've said it before. He's a genius when it works, and he's an absolute moron when it doesn't. And that's just what we saw. And again, we won the game. So at the end of the day, it's okay. But you're right. The momentum was killed. We missed the field goal. It's just, you're right. The location of that play call was kind of rough.
And there's multiple plays throughout the game where you see Bo Nix just bailing on a play a little early or whatever happens, and if you leave it a little longer, there's a guy running scot-free in the secondary. So yeah, on a down-to-down basis, you're still getting quality play calls from Sean Payton, but man, that's crap. That's crap. You can't do that.
And that's why I do want to mention too, like, everyone's giving Sean Payton a lot of crap. Like, we need a new play caller. Somebody else needs to take up the play call. I mean, we've seen after that game from the national media, we've seen some of the worst takes I've ever seen on social media in my life. One of them being bench Bo Nix and start Jarrett Stidham. Another one is take away the play calling from Sean Payton. You can be mad about the one bad play call, but he's calling plays. The guys are open. They just need to get on the same page. We have a second-year quarterback who has a little bit of the yips, and he had a bad game, and that's fine. There's some wide open receivers on a lot of those plays that Bo just missed. And they just need to get on the same page, whether it's Bo and the receivers or Bo and Sean on his reads on what he's looking for. But it's not a Sean Payton thing. It's not a Bo Nix thing. They just need to get on the same page. Bo needs to get over this hump of this second-year slump. And I said it earlier in the chat, I think the day of the game or the next day, I mentioned that I'd rather it happen now than at the end of the season. I'd rather him have his, like, setbacks and kind of like, oh, okay, like, this is what I need to do. I need to get back into it and focus a little bit more now. Even if we do, and we'll get to the Chiefs game in the second half of the show, but even if it does come up in the Chiefs game and he doesn't play great, I'd rather it happen now than at the end of the season when we're getting ready to go for the playoffs. Because, I mean, at this point, unless some crazy happens, we're making the playoffs, and I'd rather him be ready to go.
Isn't it nice, though, we get to complain about this? I mean, like, I watched last night's show, and it seems like a lot of the conversation is about complaining, right? And I guess the hard part for us is it does sound like we're all complaining, but we're about an 8-2 team. Like, how many other 7-2, 8-2 teams have this much complaining when it comes to their fans? And I think it more than anything, it's just that outside talk that the Broncos themselves aren't really paying attention to. It's really us, for people who we want to be excited. Let us have this, and yet you get the Nick Wrights of the world. I think it was Bart Scott last night said that Bo Nix is holding his team back. path. And I guess this is what happens though when you are in the spotlight. You are the best record in the NFL, the second or tied for the best record in the NFL, second seed in the AFC. Like this is the scrutiny that you have to go to. It's just hilarious that people think that we won these games by fluke and that we're overrated. Okay, like if you really think this team that we really haven't been healthy all year, right? We're scrounging together in different spots. Yes, in those games where we weren't clicking, we still found ways to win the game, whether by offense, mostly by defense, and it still happened. Teams haven't really figured us out just yet.
Spotty, I'm going to throw this back over to you because, Jared, you picked up something that I was going to touch on a little bit too, and I want to get both of your opinion on this because, Jared, you said that Bo Nix has the yips right now, and I more or less agree with that. And so Spotty, I'll throw this over to you first and then Jared to finish it up. I'm just wondering what you guys think that's attributable to, because it does feel like he's really sped up right now. It feels like he's not waiting for these longer developing plays to get through the progressions. And that's even true on plays where he's not really facing any pressure. It just feels like something's not, he's not clicking. It's feeling fast. It's feeling forced. What are you seeing right now?
I think there's a couple of different things, and part of me still wants to blame it on the play calling, but it's also the execution of some of our play calls. So before, I was off today. I was watching a couple of videos on different things. I watched Jake Plummer. He was talking today, and one of the things that he was harping on is those quick passes, right? Those quick outs to the outside that are supposed to be good. One thing that he mentioned is that our tight ends and the wide receivers aren't blocking on any of them. Like we're getting killed at the initial block, which is having a big effect on that. And as about everybody knows, I hate those plays more than anything, probably because they haven't been successful whatsoever, right? And I see this a little bit of play calling. I also see a little bit of Bo is trying to bail early, and I don't know if it's just that he's feeling too much pressure. If it's stimulated pressure, I think that he plays at his best when he stays in the pocket and he lets it go. But I feel almost 1-2, boom. If he's not getting his first read, he's running out of the pocket. And I'm not really sure how you even fix something like that. You got to challenge him to sit in the pocket. Be like, if you sit in the pocket for 5 seconds, we'll give you another 100 G's or something like that. I'm not real sure how you can do it. But I think by easing the play calling a little bit, because let's be for real, Sean Payton's book is probably the biggest in the NFL, and the verbiage is the most ridiculous. So I think there's a couple of things that we can do to fix it, but I mean, it's not technically broken. We're not the worst offense.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's two things here. I hate to agree with you, Spotty, on this one, but Sean Payton's offense is just way too complicated. And for a second-year quarterback who's starting to get it, right? He's starting to catch on. I think after the Cowboys game, going into a short week, he was like, well, the Cowboys game went well, so let's open up the playbook, right? We have a lot of options here. And I don't think we actually did. I think he kind of just he overcomplicated it. Sean Payton overcomplicated a little bit. And there is a level of the pass rush for the Cowboys is not nearly that of the Raiders. With a short week, he came in there and he's like, I'm going to probably get hit at least once or twice, especially knowing Max Crosby's record against this team specifically. So, yeah, he was freaking out a little bit in the pocket, even though it was clean. He saw a little bit of a flash. He was like, that guy's coming for me. And he tried to get the ball out. He wasn't setting his feet. He wasn't stepping in the pocket. He was taking his eyes off the downfield, which I think is one of the things that that frustrates me a little bit when I was watching the game. Yeah. Was that he wasn't keeping his eyes downfield. He was way more worried about the pass rush than he was about actually keeping his eyes downfield and trusting his offensive line. And I don't know where that came from, other than the fact that he knows the defensive line for the Raiders is much better than that of the last couple games we played. So I don't know. I really do think it's just a short week. He didn't have a lot of time to prep, so he didn't know what he was going to see. And coming into it, just not knowing. And I think you're right. I think there's a little bit too much complication. We need a 1-2 read. We need the short stuff to get his confidence going, and we never got that going. We never saw anything short over the middle, right? And that was kind of his bread and butter when it comes to that. give him something short over the middle where it clears out, and like give him the option to get a 5-yard gain, get his confidence going on those completions. We never got that. We never really got that going. And I think that's probably a big part of it. I don't think it's going to affect him long term. I think that was just a bad game for him. I really do. I think now that he has a week and a half to prep, getting the study, because the other thing we all love about Bo Nix, I think, is the fact that he's a student of the game. And you see him make a mistake in 1 week, and 2 weeks later, the next week, you see him fix it. And it's because he's a studious guy. He wants to see the film. So I think the short week is really what kind of held him up on that one. The whole game, a little bit frustrating, right? He never got it going, which is frustrating. Obviously, we end up winning the game. We get a touchdown in the game, but yeah, it was a rough one for him. And I think that's really what it comes down to. It just happens to be on the national stage. Now we have Kansas City coming up, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. And now he has a little bit more time to prep for that. So, yes, did he have a game where he had the ifs? Absolutely. I think his footwork wasn't good. He wasn't sitting in the pocket. He wasn't keeping his eyes downfield. There's all these things. You saw wide open receivers coming across his eye line if he would have kept his eyes up. And we'll go from there. Which is why I don't want to blame Sean Payton fully. Like, yes, do we need to simplify it? Right? Use the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Right? Like, use the KISS method. Let's keep it simple. Let's get him some quick slants. Let's get him, they're playing the cover 2 and they have the off guy. They're not pressing. Let's get him a quick slant so we can get him a couple of yards, get his momentum going so that he can start making those throws downfield. The other thing we've noticed, and I want to pass this over to you, David, because we haven't talked about this. We didn't see a lot in this game. We saw a couple, but those like downfield throws this year, he has been throwing a lot of downfield throws, and we're just waiting for that home run ball. And we've gotten a couple, maybe 2, right, all season. But we are really trying to stretch that defense in the secondary. What do you think?
Yeah, it's another aspect of his game this year that's just a little bit off compared to last year, and it's kind of a bummer. It's such a discouraging thing right now, especially because it feels like that intermediate part of the field is just not consistently available to this offense on a down-to-down basis. So you really are making that short passing game try to work for you as best you can with throws behind the line of scrimmage and then taking deep shots. And, Roy says it's time to stop throwing to Franklin so much. And Franklin has been one of those downfield targets as much as anybody this year. And like, I get the impulse that's behind that, saying that, Roy. I do, because they're trying to hit that connection and it's just not really working very consistently. But it's also like you've got to have somebody, right? You've got to have somebody other than Cortland who can be a downfield threat for you on a reliable basis. And you've got Franklin as a second-year receiver, also a really young guy who you're trying to get more comfortable in this offense. And so, yeah, I think they're going to continue to throw those balls down the field. Especially with Mims out, I think they really had to try and do that. Now that Mims is coming back, you maybe see things go a little bit differently in that regard. But I think you just kind of you have to keep trying to give Franklin opportunities to get the ball and be a playmaker for this team, because he's got traits. He's got traits and skills, and you've got to see if they can unlock something for you.
But, one of the things that we haven't really touched on at all is that Broncos are top 5 in drop balls too. So, yes, that's the thing that a lot of people aren't looking at. And when you're looking at the numbers, okay, you see Bo went for 150 yards, but there's that one that dropped that interception. We hit Franklin right in numbers. It hit Franklin right in numbers, and, of course, carry him off. Allowed him to get that pick. Now the other pick was a little more egregious, and I think those teams are hunting that ball. So they saw what Houston saw, and that is Bo's putting the placement towards the middle of the field when he should put that towards that numbers, because worst case scenario, your guy is not the guys, it's going to go out of bounds. So I think those teams are seeing those little things too. But at the same time, how many deep balls do we even throw a game? Like at this point, it almost feels like we're shying away from it. If there's no threat of the deep ball, the safeties can be closer, the linebackers can be closer. And then that's going to, and then of course that's going to skew the rest of the game for us, because we like a lot of that behind the line of scrimmage stuff. So, again, I think the guys spent a lot last night talking about this Broncos offense, but let's talk about the unsung heroes of all of our games, right? Let's talk about the defense. I mean,
absolutely.
without this defense, we're going to probably drop most of those close games in the fourth quarter. So hats off again to VJ and everything that he's done over these last couple of weeks, because that same Raiders offense scored 30 points on the Jaguars just the week before.
Yep.
And so I want to give a huge shout out to the defense before I say the following thing, which is that I've heard some comparisons to the 2015 defense over the last week, and the team in general being like, oh, that offense was really bad, and the defense carried them to a lot of close wins throughout the season too, et cetera, et cetera. And that's true. I continue to believe that this defense is not that defense. It's a very good defense, but I don't see, for example, like if the Broncos went up against the Baltimore Ravens or the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs, they're not going to smother that team like the 2015 defense smothered the New England Patriots in that AFC Championship game. It's just not going to happen that way. The offense is going to have to carry some of its weight if we get into the playoffs this year and want to actually make some noise. It's time. It's time. It's time to get up off the mat. And if you want to be that team that goes through and wins a playoff game this year, you're going to have to see a contribution from your offense. You can't just expect the defense to carry you through like that 2015 team did.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's the same defense. The biggest part is the turnover battle. I think the defense is doing a really good job of just stopping the ball, and that's their job, right? For a defense, a punt is a turnover for them, and they're perfectly happy with that, right? Like, just get the ball back in the hands of our offense and let them do their thing. It's a little bit different as far as field position goes, but the defense at this point doesn't even care. Like, get us off the field. And you're right. There's some down, like in between the 20s. I feel like we're still just kind of like keeping things in front of us, which is good, which is what you want, right? Like, you don't give up the big play, which we haven't done in a couple weeks, and just keep everything in front of you. So I think this defense is absolutely killing it. And I want to shout out to a couple people who Hufanga, I still believe, is the best offseason acquisition since DeMarcus Ware. I think that's just he's just absolutely killing it up there. And then shout out to Tillman with another interception. Like, I know it was a drop ball off of John C's, but like 2 interceptions, a big boy rolling down the field twice, like 2 times. Like, it is just I love seeing it. Like, he's like the 4th defensive tackle on the like, he's in there for the passing downs, right? And he's just in the right spot at the right time, and he's catching the ball and he's bringing it downfield. I think he got like 20 return yards or something on that interception. So shout out. What an amazing play by him. 2 games in a row.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to kind of highlight what David was talking about, especially when it comes to those turnovers. And what folks should remember is that this defense isn't really built for turnovers, right? If you look at the teams, generally when you're getting turnovers, you're in zone. That you've got the linebackers in zone, you're taking advantage of certain matchups on certain sides of the field and hoping to push guys out into coverage when they need to. But this team wants to run man defense. So that means that they have their back to the quarterback the vast majority of time. And I'm telling you, there's no 360, no 180 of turnaround to get the picks when you're in that man kind of coverage. So most of our interceptions will probably come off deflections, or they're going to come off from a linebacker accompanying an area where they should. But what we are more concerned about is getting to the quarterback. We're concerned. Actually, what's amazing that hasn't happened is the strip sack. With as many sacks that we have this year, I don't know if we have a strip sack on a quarterback this year, which I'm telling you, that's not gonna continue to happen. Like, that's gonna change here. It's probably not going to be against Patty, because whatever devil magic that he has to hold on to the football and throw, blind stuff. But we are going to start taking the ball from some of these teams later on in the year, and it's probably going to be the Mariotas and the Jordan Loves out there. So again, considering that this team has, I could be wrong, is only 4-5 turnovers for the year?
Yeah, I think it's like really low, but we're like killing the league in sacks. Like, I think we have like 10 more sacks than anybody else. Like, it's not even close.
It might even be 12. So I'll take that. There's no such thing as a perfect defense in this NFL, right? The quote unquote best defense in the NFL for the last couple of weeks was supposed to be the Houston Texans, right? And they're another team that allowed the Jacksonville Jaguars to score 29 points. Last week, it's a bend don't break mentality for almost every defense. And damn it, our defense does not really break too often, especially when it comes to the red zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me ask you. Let me ask you guys this, and then ask those that are watching. I want you to post in here. If you were to name one person, so the 2015, we're not trying to compare it, but I'm trying to compare it. The 2015 defense, the heart and soul was the no-fly zone or Von Miller, depending on how you looked at it. Right? It was either 𝐂𝐥𝐤𝐫𝐻, Chris Harris, or Von Miller. Who is the heart and soul of this defense? And I have a point to make after you guys say your answer.
Probably Jonathan Cooper. I feel like it's Coop.
Well, now that you took that, I'm gonna have to go with Hufanga.
Okay, yeah, I'm there, and I would say if before last week, I would have said Pat Surtain, because our entire defense rotated around where he was on the field and what he was doing. Right? If he was in man coverage, then you had to cover the whole field. If he was in a zone, you kind of took out a quarter of the field just by having him in the area. And without him, we still held, again, to your point, Spotty, a team that put up 30-something points against the Jags the week before to nothing almost on a Thursday night on a short game. And we were without our number one corner, the reigning defensive player of the year. This defense is good. And we know this defense is good, and this defense is going to keep being good. As we get ready to transition over, is it going to be good enough going forward against the Chiefs? Is it going to be good enough as we look at the rest of our schedule going forward? We don't know. We'll have to see. But I do believe, like, the defense playing the way it is, I actually agree with you, Spotty. I think Hufanga, with the offseason acquisition, he is the heart and soul of this defense. I mean, he is everywhere. He's in the backfield, and then the next play he's in there getting a tip ball. He is all over the field, and he knows exactly. He's got just this magnet to the ball, no matter where it's at, and it's just really cool to watch.
It doesn't seem like he's a loud guy either. It just seems like he lets it play. It doesn't seem like he's the super talkative one. He's not out there jawing or talking to folks. It really is. You see what you get from him on the field.
Yeah.
All right. Before we move on to Chiefs week, guys, we do need to talk about a couple of things, a couple of injuries. So a couple of Broncos that we're not going to see. First, J.K. Dobbins, guys. We just kind of got this news in the last 24 to 48 hours here. He did get injured in that Raiders game towards the end of the game, stayed in, but looks like, kind of a toe injury that will sideline him for, I don't know, as many as 4 weeks, I think. Could be less than that, could be as much as that. We're kind of still deciding on if the team is still deciding on if he's going to go to IR or not. And then Alex Singleton, guys, scary thing that happened with him. Looks like he had a testicular tumor removed that was cancerous. So he will be out while he recovers from that. Looks like they got it in time before it became anything more serious than that. But, scary message for us all, of course, to make sure you're in contact with your health professionals just regularly for anything, guys. But yeah, certainly glad that he's on the path to recovery, but he will be out as well. So, and I think the Broncos also losing Karene Reed. I don't know. I've never known how you pronounce that. Another inside linebacker with a hamstring injury. So now thin at that inside linebacker position. Greenlaw coming back at just the right time, but you've only got Jordan Turner and Lavelle Bailey really coming up from the practice squad to fill in there after Justin Strnad.
Yeah, so the defense is going to look like Dre Greenlaw, Justin Strnad, and then practice squad guys, because you got Drew Sanders out on IR, Garrett Wallow, Karen Reed all out on IR, and then Singleton being out. Like that is the one spot on our defense that is just getting injured. And obviously Greenlaw just now coming back, he was injured for the first half of the season. It is just wild how our inside linebackers.
Or they'd like
him. I feel like he's back now. I mean, he played very well I'd say he played pretty well against the Raiders. I mean, the whole defense did, so we can't really like pinpoint like, oh, he had a missed thing. Like, there's no missed anything. And shout out to the secondary again playing without Pastor Tam. But yeah, that inside linebacker position, that's going to be against the Chiefs team, going to be tough to play against without those inside linebackers. You're going to rely a lot on the rookie and Barron, and you're going to rely a lot on those strong safeties to come up. And we may even see some of those strong safeties come up. You might see PJ Locke coming in to play some of the linebacker position style, like coming up to at least play up into the box. So we have to do something, right? And whether it's Barron or PJ Locke coming into the box, we're going to have to do something.
Yeah, I think for sure we're going to see Barron. I think what we're going to see a lot more of Barron. I mean, even in this game coming up anyways, I think you had to think that we were going to see more Barron, especially with the Travis Kelce's and the Worthies and what's the fast driver's guy's name?
Rashid.
Rashid.
Yeah.
So I think Hufanga is also going to be, but of course Hufanga's been playing in the box a lot more anyways, which I think has a big effect on our game. So this is of course an unfortunate time, but also that being said, our bye is coming up, which it probably can't come at a better time than it is right now. So again, the Broncos after the Raiders game, the Chiefs is the only game that they play in 23 days. So damn near a month there, which we may not necessarily need everybody for the game after that either. We will get into that at some other time, but we've got some time to heal up.
Yeah, real quick before we go to halftime, Travis, I want to answer this question for you. Drew is on the IR still. I think he was on. Was it season-ending IR at the beginning of the season?
No, but I wouldn't expect him back at this point. Yeah, like whatever you're expecting to see out of Drew Sanders, probably not even before December, if that.
I don't know where he fits. I don't know where he fits with anymore on the team. He's supposed to be inside linebacker again.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah,
but
right now it'd be nice to have him back, to have that depth, but we just don't have it.
Right.
All right, real quick, guys, we are halfway through the show. So before we head over to talk about these Kansas City game, we've been like dancing around it as much as possible to try to not talk too much about it because we want to get to it. Is there anything you want to talk about with the Raiders game before we go into halftime? Yeah, thought so. All right, cool. So as I try to dust off my best Kev Dan here and give you the rundown of what you guys should be following / what we bring to you here at Bourbon Broncos No BS. If you guys aren't following us on YouTube, please go hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button on Facebook. We got an Instagram. We got the Twitter. We got the podcast. Make sure you guys listen to the podcast. So every week we're bringing you a bunch of stuff. So on Monday night, you'll see the post-game podcast is usually live here on YouTube and on Facebook. So make sure you guys check that out. And then it's also on Apple, Spotify, Google Play. Make sure you're subscribing to the podcast there. Here you're watching the Bourbon Broncos No BS, our flagship show here at Orange Weekly. That is every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And then you're going to, at some point towards the end of the week, David, Spotty, and I are going to figure out what eventually a good schedule now that I'm back. You'll see the pregame podcast come out on all of your podcast listening devices. So again, make sure you guys are subscribing on Apple, iTunes, Google Play, whatever you guys are listening on your podcast. Then on game day, regardless of the game day, we'll do an hour before kickoff. You will see a tailgate talk. We'll do an hour before kickoff. Just talk about what's coming up in the game, last minute injury reports, things like that. And then the halftime hash, the original halftime hash here at Bourbon Broncos No BS. We've been doing this for 10 years. We've been doing that halftime hash for 10 years because we'd rather listen and talk about the Broncos than listen to whatever the announcers have to say about the other games that are going on, because there's a lot more important stuff about what we saw in the first half and what we want to see in the second half. And yeah, we have a big game coming up against Kansas City. So make sure you guys are hitting the follow. We're just having a great year right now. We're 8-2. We're on a 7-game win streak. It's just a beautiful time in Broncos country. So make sure you're following and getting as much of the content as you guys possibly can and commenting. I really appreciate you guys commenting and interacting with us. That's why we did this. That's why we started this 10 years ago. We want to comment with the fans and talk to you guys about what's going on in Broncos country. With that being said, let's talk about the Chiefs week. Oh, wait, no, did I miss some?
Well, with it being Veterans Day, I feel like we definitely got to give a shout out to all of our veterans out there, and of course our active duty members, with a couple of gentlemen on our squad here being some vets, and of course active like Jared. He goes in the middle of ocean or something like that. So we definitely want to thank everybody for their service out there, everybody who's been watching us, and so we appreciate the support.
And Spotty, that's a terrific way to segue into Sean's comment here. About Jared no longer being on deployment and rocking the puberty beard hard tonight.
Come on, man. It is getting so much better than when we first. I mean, I'm 36 years old, and it's coming in a lot. It's finally starting to come in. All right, can you just give me that? Can you just give me like a little bit of okay?
Look, when I was 22 and I also couldn't grow facial hair, I felt self-conscious about it. So 15 years later, I can feel some sympathy for you. However, it's also just hysterical.
Well, as an aside, Sean, I appreciate that comment. Yes, I'm on leave right now, and I had to get my hair cut because I go back to work tomorrow. So I have to shave this tonight, but I wanted to keep it for the. I thought it looked good. Can you just, David, like once, just comment me, like compliment. I just would like a compliment every once in a while.
Jared, you look so big and strong, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Wow. Okay. Well, complimenting your muscles is kind of my thing, so I'm definitely not saying anything nice about you now. Let's move on to the Chiefs. What do we think?
All right, let's talk about this Chiefs week. We've been dancing around it all show, and we really want to talk about this. There's a lot to talk about with this upcoming Chiefs week. We've already talked about some of the injuries. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball, podcast style. Let's talk about the offensive side of the ball here. The struggles that the Denver Broncos have had, Bo Nix and Sean Payton have had going in the last couple games, well, at least this last game. Are they going to be able to play against the Kansas City Chiefs the way that they need to with that extra, 4 days of prep, it being a short week last week?
Damn it. Why did we have to play them after a bye week? Do you know what the Chiefs' record is what Andy Reid's record is after a bye?
Andy Reid, yep.
He's 22-4. He's 22-4 after a bye week. So I think I appreciate the fact that we've got 10 days to prepare, because damn near we're going to need every minute of that. We're going to need every day of that. I do not believe that this iteration of the Kansas City Chiefs is the most powerful. I don't even think they're even close to being at the height of their power. So I don't want to say that we do not have a chance in this game, or it's going to be a blowout or anything like that. I unfortunately believe it's going to be another close game. It's just if there was a time that you need to win this game, if there was a time that you need to get over the camel's hump, it is this particular game. It is the Denver Broncos are on an upward trajectory where the Kansas City Chiefs may be a little more stagnant. And if you want to say that you are the cream of the crop of the NFL, you have to win this game.
Yeah, I think the Broncos are in for a rock fight. I think it's going to be a lot like most of the other games that we've seen them play and win in this season. Whether they win or lose, they're probably going to be right in it until the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be a relatively low scoring game, somewhere in the 20s. I think it's going to be over under 50. I would take the under. But yeah, I don't see this Kansas City Chiefs team is like remarkably better than us right now. And man, if you're the Denver Broncos and you win this game, you almost seal up your chances of winning the division this year. So you take care of business tomorrow or this weekend, and a lot of things go right for you the rest of the season. If you don't, it's just the way it is. Ken, I always appreciate you coming on the show, because every week you give me something that I just have to push back against. I can't see it. I still don't see it. I'm not entirely sure how the Kansas City Chiefs became the beneficiary of a massive league-wide conspiracy in the first place. The Kansas City Chiefs, the team from Kansas City, one of your least marketable city. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it's going to be really interesting. I don't know. We'll see, but I'm not counting the Broncos out in this game. Certainly, I think they have a really good chance to win. It's just going to be a tough one.
Yeah, and you guys can quote me on this. This is, I think it's kind of like the perfect scenario to see where we actually are. Like, a lot of people are counting us out. A lot of people are like, oh, it's not going to happen based on the way we played, the Raiders, especially when Kansas City beat them like 33-0 earlier in the season, right? And then we could barely score 10. So like, there's this level of like, if you look at those two stats alone, this is an awful matchup for us. But what I really like about it, and this is, Spotty, you can quote me because you guys, I'm going to eat my words on this. I know I am. This is whoever wins this game has the better coach. Plain and simple. I think our two teams are very favorable to play against each other. I think our defense is favorable to play against their offense, and I feel like our offense is favorable to play against their defense. Like, I think that it's pretty even across the board. Their strength is their offense, and ours is defense. And our strength is, or our weakness is our offense, and theirs is their defense. So I think this is a very favorable match. It comes down to coaching. And really, it's Andy Reid versus BJ, right? And then Sean Payton versus whoever their defensive coordinators. But I think a big part of this is going to be coaching. Can we prep in the extra time that we had with the extra time they had to be able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs? And I think we can. But we have to come out and score fast. There's no way that we allow this to come down and we go down to the fourth quarter and both teams are really close. Like, again, we've seen magic from Bo Nix in the fourth quarter. I do love that. I think that, Bo Nix has the magic, so does Pat Mahomes. They have the magic in the fourth quarter to drive down and win games. I just don't want it to come down to that. I think we need to score first, and we need to have the lead for them to make them come down and finish the game out. Or if it comes down to us coming down to finish the game, I think we can do it. But I'd like to be able to get ahead early, because really what I see is this is going to be a slugfest until maybe midway through the third quarter, until the first real big play happens.
Well, and that fourth quarter comeback scenario scares me a lot more this week with Spags on the other side of the field. I know Peyton has had his success against Spags, after coming back. It's just going to be that way this week too. I don't know. In that fourth quarter scenario, though, I can bet you Spags is going to have something cooked up for Bo Nix. And so, yeah, Jared, I'm with you. If you're not in a situation where you can play with a lead at that point, we'll see.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different matchups that we can take advantage of, and I believe this team has the ability to take advantage of. But it's kind of like what you said earlier. It's getting back to the most simplest of things, right? Keep it simple for the rest of the team. We may be without J.K. Dobbins, so the run game may be hurting a little bit, but the Buffalo showed us that you have the ability to run on this team. I would actually say pull up the tape of that Buffalo game. Buffalo's defense is no way is better than ours, okay? If anybody watched Buffalo play Miami this last week, you would absolutely understand that. And I'm not 100% sure outside of Josh Allen that the rest of the Buffalo offense is any better than ours either. You could say that our wide receiver room is better. I digress. It is possible to beat this Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, everybody thought that as soon as Rashee Rice got back, Kansas City was going to be world beaters. Okay, that's all they needed to be, the best team in the AFC, and it hasn't really materialized in the way that we thought. Okay, so I think I saw somebody in the comments saying this could be a big game. If you drop the Kansas City to 5-5 after this, there's a good chance that they may not even make the playoffs. I mean, that might be a win for Broncos more than a playoff game. If we were the reason part of the reason that Kansas City didn't make the playoffs, I'm pretty sure all of us would be just as happy to lose in the second round. Okay, so
yeah, I think that's a big part of it too. Is I think there's a lot of pressure that we're putting on by us. I mean, the fans. Right, the fans, the media, we're putting a lot of pressure on the Broncos to win this game, and we are going to be devastated if we lose. I know it. I know we're all going to be super devastated if we lose. But if you look at the bigger picture, it's not the end of the world if we drop this game. Now, yes, does it suck that we're on a 7-game win streak? We'd love to keep it going, absolutely. But you're going to drop games here and there, and this one might be that. I just don't think, and it is, Angelo, you're right. I think a lot of people have mentioned it. This is a must-win for Kansas City. They have to win this game to stay relevant. And if they drop this one, there's no way they win the AFC West. And that beats their streak. I think they've been winning the AFC West for the last 10 years in a row.
9 years.
So that drops that streak, and they're not the juggernauts that they used to be. And we've seen it. We've seen them get beat. We've seen them not stay close. I mean, we should have beat them last year in the regular season when it was, the last second field goal block. But we have the opportunity to do it, and I think Bo Nix has got the opportunity. But it really comes down to coaching. Which coach is going to game plan better, and which coach is going to be able to find the weaknesses on the other team? This is going to be a good game. I really do believe this is going to be a good game.
Yeah, me too.
You know why I think it's going to potentially be a bad game? Penalties.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that yet. The most penalized team in the league, baby. We are the 1980s Raiders.
I look. We say this week in and week out. Okay, there's really no rhyme or reason to penalties. There's not really much that you can do. It's not like you can look at tape and say, "Hey, this is how we can fix this." Right?
Yeah.
Like that. And it's against the team. Okay. I know this is one of those conspiracy things that we're tagging into, right? But on one of the lowest flag teams in the league over the last, I don't know how long, okay? And somebody's looked at the numbers. That's not just Spotty thinking, being a sad little brother kind of situation in all of this, okay? Like, we can prove that the Kansas City Chiefs don't get flagged as much. And if we just put things together, okay, in this last game of special teams, in the game before that, there were offensive woes and turnovers. Like, all we have to do is not do it for 3 quarters, and I guarantee you we're going to win the game. Just if all 3 phases could come together, I would even say better than the Cowboys game.
Yeah.
That we have the ability to win a game. I mean, both started off rocky in that game, and we started off rocky in the first quarter. But if we could have all phases to come out and be strong for even just a half, I'm telling you, we win the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really, I think, who said it here, comes down to execution. Roy. It really comes down to execution. Like, can we execute, limit the penalties, and get the play? So let me ask you this. As we talk about J.K. Dobbins' injury, Marvin Mims coming back, R.J. Harvey, is he ready to be a 4-down back?
No. Just no. And that's okay. He's not, guys. There's so few 4-down backs in the NFL in the first place. Like, Derrick Henry at this stage of his career is barely a 4-down back anymore. So yeah, no, it's not a slight against R.J. Harvey to say he's not ready for that. Is it fair to say, hey man, are we ready to see a little bit more from R.J. Harvey now? Is he ready to take a step up in the offense? I think we can say yes to that. But no, you're definitely going to see contributions from other players there. You're going to see Tyler Bidet. Deuce Vaughn might get elevated from the practice squad. Yeah, you're going to see other. I don't know. I believe he's on the practice squad. And with J.K. Dobbins out, you're going to see somebody come up, I would think. So yeah, you're going to see.
You definitely got a McLaughlin.
McLaughlin, thank you. Okay, yeah. Wow, I don't know. I literally have forgotten that Jaleel McLaughlin has existed this year. Like, he's only been active for 1 game. Yeah,
he was the top guy for us last year.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Anyway, you're going to definitely see a share, even if I do think you will see more opportunities for R.J. Harvey.
But let's get into specifically why he's not a 3-down back, right?
Yeah.
And it has to do with pass pro. It's 100% about pass pro. And David, I'm glad that you brought up the fact that there aren't that many. You could probably count on one hand how many true workhorse backs there are in the NFL. And one of them is probably the NFL MVP right now. Okay.
Yeah, so absolutely. Jonathan Taylor.
It's that one aspect that makes us think he's going to be on the field for 1st and 2nd down, maybe a 3rd. If he's on the field on 3rd down, it's probably he's going out into a route. So I think we're going to mix things up in this particular game. I could see a lot more of a jumbo package coming out for the Broncos because we are going to want to control the clock. Sean is a smart enough guy to know that you have to control the clock, and that means that they're going to throw more. We're going to see more double tight ends, six linemen. We're going to want to probably establish the run early and often to make sure that Pat Mahomes stays on the bench. Or at least we should.
Yeah, in order to do that, though, we have to get first downs, and I think that's.
I mean, yeah.
But you're right. Going back to it, like the one thing that we're frustrated is we're not seeing any of these short throws. We're not seeing any of the things that we're like get us the 3 to 5 yards. Like, let's not take these big deep shots every third play. Let's run the ball. Let's take a short play. Let's try to get a short gain to try to stay on. And I think Sean Payton said this last year. Like, let's try to stay on schedule. Like, we want to try to stay on schedule as we go down and eat the clock up. But yeah, I feel like you're going to see Harvey. I think you are going to see Harvey being a 3-down back in this game. And whether or not Bidet or McLaughlin end up getting in for a few plays here and there, I think you're going to see Harvey. And if it's pass pro that we're worried about, you end up seeing 2 tight end sets. You're going to see a 2 tight end set. Maybe one of them leaks, but you're going to see Harvey go out. You're right. I think Harvey is just not ready. I mean, he kind of he's not as bad. Who's the why can't I think about him? The Colorado kid. Why am I missing
Philip Lindsay?
Lindsay, right? That was the one downside to Philip Lindsay. He was great running back, and he could hit the hole and he can get out of it, but he just could not block a 300-pound linebacker or defensive end coming in to save his life, and he just didn't have the size.
He was on the fault. I could see Marvin in the backfield. But remember, we had a lot of this conversation last year. We actually haven't done a lot with Marvin when it came to that anyway. So if Marvin is healthy, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the backfield.
Yeah, I like that take too. I do think that might be something that you see, like kind of like a scat offense, where you put the wide receiver in the backfield and even line up Harvey on the slot or something, and then kind of try to switch it up. You kind of give him a quick pitch to the outside and try to get him one-on-one. Well, I mean, it's a lot. I think we're going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets, though. I think maybe not so much heavy, but 2 tight end in the gun. Definitely try to get the protection for Bo Nix, and then. Yeah, the wide receiver is just going to have to be one-on-one. They're going to have to take advantage. The one other person I want to see a lot more of is Pat. Wow.
Pat Bryant.
Pat Bryant. He had a huge game, right, 2 weeks ago, and then kind of was silenced in this last game. And I think Bo was just trying to look for his favorites. And I get it, right? When you're uncomfortable, you have to go to the guy that you know is going to make the play. But I think there were some times that the guy was open. We have to try to be able to – we have a guy that's an athlete. Between Marvin Mims, him, Courtland Sutton, I think we have a really good wide receiver room. Just get the ball in their hands and let them make the play. And I know a lot of people are frustrated. I'll be the first offensive coordinator style to defend. So okay, if it's 3rd and 4, why are we throwing a 2-yard shot? You know how often it worked in the Cowboys game? If you go back to that game and how often we threw a 2-yard pass in a 3rd and 4, and we got it because the athlete that caught the ball made the play to get the first down. And that's what we're trying to go for. We're trying to get the ball in the hands of our athletes to be able to get that first down. Sometimes it doesn't work. And so it's not on the play caller to be mad that why are we throwing it short? It's because they're sitting on that line. They know where it's at just as much as we do. So I don't know, just getting off my chest.
Fair enough.
This is no notes. Cowboys defense. That's all I have to say is the Cowboys defense.
Agreed. So what do we look forward to? Okay, let's flip it over because we only got 10 minutes. We talked a lot about that. Let's flip it over. Let's talk about our defense against Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes is the guy that can escape the pocket, and we are not going to get as many sacks on him as we have in the past or as we have on any of the other quarterbacks. But you have to know he's going into this game worried about that, right? That's got to be in the back of his head.
Yeah, I mean, and it's you really wish we had Pat Surtain for this game.
Oh,
right,
100%.
But I don't know, man. I feel like VJ always has a decent plan for Pat Mahomes, and I think this Broncos defensive line is going to get enough pressure with 4 that they're not going to have to blitz in a ton of situations. Overall, I'm encouraged by the one-on-one matchups.
Honestly, Travis Kelce's kind of lost a step a little bit too. I think but he's still relying on the old, that's what he goes to. If he starts scrambling, that's the biggest thing for the Broncos. They have to make sure that they know where he's at, not letting him outside of the pocket because he's doing 2 things this year that he really hasn't done before, right? And one of them is looking to run the football. I have not seen a time when Pat Mahomes was like, I'm taking off over the line of scrimmage. And of course, then he's doing the infuriating thing. He's also hunting for contact. Yeah. I've seen him hunt for contact, and I'm a little worried in the fact that if he's hunting for contact, we're going to get some flags on that, especially around the line of scrimmage. So I kind of hope that we're very aware of that he's going to be doing that. The other thing about it, they even had everything last year, and our defense did really well against them in that first game that, of course, we lost on a field goal. We were very much in that game. Matter of fact, we've been very much in the last couple of games against them, even without this particular type of defense. I'm not crazy. I'm not thinking that they're going to go out and score 35 points on us. We've proven that those are exceptions if there are teams that are scoring 30 points on them. My issue is if our defense, of course, is on the field for most of the game. As the game goes on, that's when the mistakes get made. Guys get tired, and then we have issues. So if we can take some time of possession, I think we're going to do fine. And if we win almost all close games.
Yeah, the one thing I'm worried about is the outside speed. The speed on the outside, they have it. And if Pat Mahomes can get that ball out of there, I'm worried about either a broken coverage deep play, especially if we're playing press. They're going to try to throw it every time. Just based on what we've seen, right? Like Riley Moss on a couple times. And then we got, on the opposite side of the corners, who was playing McMillan? Was he on the other side? So, I don't know. Chris Abrams-Drain, depending on who it is. I'm worried about the deep ball. If we can't play that press man coverage, he will take advantage of that. Pat Mahomes is a very smart quarterback, and as much as I hate the Chiefs and I hate Pat Mahomes, he is a smart quarterback, and he's going to take advantage of those times. So to the point where you're going to throw a back shoulder, which I absolutely hate that penalty. The back shoulder fade pass interference call is 9 times out of 10 you're going to get it, or you're going to get beat. And that's not cool. And that's the one thing I'm worried about. And I think VJ is going to have to game plan against that. And other than that, I think we're going to be able to get to Pat Mahomes. We just can't give him the 80, the 2-step drop, deep shot.
Yeah. And we'll see. I mean, it's just a lot of it is going to come down to coaching and execution. Those plays will be there for Kansas City at some point. We've seen Mahomes in his career miss sometimes when he gets a little bit excited to throw those balls. Will we get lucky on those, or will they connect on those? Well, it's probably going to come down to 2 or 3 plays throughout the game. It's just going to be a fascinating one to watch, guys.
I hope Crawshaw got his yips out, and I say that because this game is the team that wins the field position battle is going to win the game.
Yeah, talk about another guy that got the yips. Yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
I think it was such a bad game that I am just willing to chalk it up to we'll never see that again. Let's never see that again. We've seen Crawshaw be incredible all season long, and then he has just one catastrophe game. Let's just leave it in the past.
Yep.
I'm with you. I'm too bad we can't do that with everybody. Right? If we just look at everybody on the Broncos team, let's just leave that game in the back. We got the win. Let's move on. Just that game was a bad game for everybody, and somehow we squeaked out with a win, which is what good teams do. Right? Yeah, you win the slugfest, and even when you're playing bad, you somehow win. I mean, obviously, we're not playing bad against the Miami Dolphins in 2022, but that's a whole different story. And so, but we play bad and we somehow get the win. That's a completely different team. Right, and the defense being able to hold up their own, I think the offense comes out and shows up. I do. I have faith in this Denver Broncos team until they prove me wrong. In 7 weeks in a row, they have proved me right. So prove me wrong, but I think that they're going to do it this week. I really do. There's a lot of naysayers, a lot of doubters. You look at 1 week and say this team is not going to be able to keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it's opposite. I think that not only can we keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs, I think we win this game and we put a nail in the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty. For the 2010s, 20s. What year are we?
It's 2025, buddy.
Hey, I like it. That's a bold take, my man. For sure. We got 5 more years to figure that out.
Yeah. I mean, they've 9 years in a row they've won the AFC West. It's time for someone to take over, and I think it's us. I really do. Orange and blue goggles all the way. Put them on.
My one thing is, you know what I've laughed about? You remember how last year how the Chiefs were winning almost all their games by 1 scores and no one bat an eye about it, but when we're winning all of our games by 1 scores, we're overrated.
Yeah.
That Chiefs team made the Super Bowl. Just saying.
Right. And they were winning by 1 scores against shitty teams too. Like some of the worst teams in the league, they were barely beating, and everyone's like, "Man, this is not going to keep up." But they're good. That's good teams win games.
But they got Pat Mahomes and a genius head coach. So
yeah, that's it.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think we are just about to wrap up, so we'll give you our final thoughts here in a second. But first, we want to thank you so much. Make sure you like, comment, and share all of our content anywhere you find us. Subscribe on YouTube, guys. That helps us so much. If you're not subscribed already, we know so many of you are. We will be back with the pregame podcast a little bit later this week, as Jared alluded to, when we get our shit together. That's a really important proviso there. I'll start with my final thoughts here, guys. We can think about this Denver Broncos team as one that has a lot to work on, because they do, especially on offense. But I think that it is important to remember that it is probably, I'm about to dig myself a pretty big words hole here if they don't pay off. It's probably not as bad as you think. It's probably not as bad as it looked against the Raiders. Stick with it. Stick with it. Stick with your Denver Broncos. They're 8-2. They're going up into the most important game of the season. If they win this game, they've got basically a stranglehold on the AFC West. Let's see what they can do.
Spotty, what you got?
You got okay. So you guys are going to hate this, and probably a lot of Bronco fans are going to hate this too. I don't even give a shit if we win on Sunday, okay? And there's a reason that I don't care if we win on Sunday or not. I'm looking – it's not about one game. This isn't going to make us in the playoffs, right? Is this winning this game is not the end of the season for us. And I'm looking ahead to the future. I'm looking at our schedule. I'm looking at the teams that we have to play. 8-3 is not a death sentence for the Broncos, okay? This is not the years past when we were hoping to make the playoffs and all that. I'm pretty sure we're damn near 99% lock with both the Chiefs and the Chargers having a gauntlet for the next 5 to 6 games, okay?
Yep.
So it's not the end of the world even if we do lose the game on Sunday, okay? And that might be the reason that it's a little stressful for us. It matters to them more than it matters to the Denver Broncos, okay? 5 games over is incredible, all right? So if we do win, it is a stranglehold, and it puts the Chiefs in a real tough spot. But with the bye week coming, we're going to be able to get healthy. Then we've got an interesting schedule where we go Commanders, I believe Raiders again, and then the Green Bay Packers, who just put a stinker up on freaking Monday. So the future is real bright, win or lose to this.
Yeah, thank you for setting that up, buddy, and being the bad guy so I can soften this. Don't be upset if we lose on Sunday. Like I just don't like we somehow it spiraled, like as a fan base. We have somehow spiraled into this. We are 8-2 right now and second in the NFL, and we're spiraling into this like we're a terrible team and we need to make all these changes. That is not the case, and I think that like we're 8-2 for a reason. Regardless of how we won the games, we're 8-2. That's the end of the day. You look on this 5 years from now, you're going to go back and look at the record of the team. You're not going to remember the games. We couldn't even remember that, like the Kansas City Chiefs, all those games that they won when they won the Super Bowl that were like close games. Nobody remembers the games that they won. Like it comes down to the final score and the final record, and whether or not we beat the Chiefs legitimately in the past. I don't want to bring that up, but ultimately, what it comes down to is if we lose this game, it's not the end of the world. We're not. The Rome is on fire. We don't need to bench Bo Nix. We don't need to fire Sean Payton. We don't need to get a whole start over. It is time to keep moving on and go to the next one. Like Spotty said, Kansas City wants this more than we do. They need this more than we do. We are in a position that we can ruin their dynasty, right? They're 9 years in a row of winning the AFC West with this win next week, and I think that's the motivation. And I think we can do it. I really do. I think if we go out there and play hard and we play the best football that the Denver Broncos can, penalties and all, we can still end up with a win out of here, and then it'll put the rest of the NFL on notice. But if we don't, let them keep talking crap. I'd rather be the underdog. Like, let us be the underdog. We could be the 3 seed in the AFC and still be the underdog in the playoffs. I'm cool with it. Let us be the underdog, and I'm fine with it because I think that we have the team to be able to do it, and we have the team that's going to be able to go and finish these games. We've seen it time and time again this year. So keep the faith, Broncos Country. We got this. All right.
I love it.
Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Really appreciate all the comments. There's a lot of comments. I'm sorry we didn't get to all of them. I'm not as good as KevDan with the pulling up comments. I think these guys have been pulling up more than I have. So really appreciate you guys joining us. As always, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Tell your friends and family about this. And as always, really appreciate the support that you have for the Denver Broncos. And, happy Veterans Day, y'all. And hopefully we can pull out a win this Sunday. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the podcast listening devices so you can hear our little bit more in-depth breakdown on this game coming up as we talk about the matchups, specifically a little bit more into the matchups coaching-wise. I'm excited to talk about, but also like man-to-man defense, offense with the pregame podcast. So without much else being said, Spotty, David, thank you guys as always for coming on and having a good talk. And we end this, as we always do, with a very strong
Go
Broncos.
Broncos.
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, yeah.